One of the most valuable things I learned during the field study was a way of thinking of the design process. Here in school, we're almost taught a really systematic way of doing things. You do A, and then you do B, and then you come up with C, and it's almost as if you know the end result given a set of instructions. And this may not be a bad thing because this way of approaching things has a lot of guidance, but I don't think it's necessarily the best way of approaching design projects. So anyway, when we talked to Remco van de Kratz at EDHV, he told us that the focus shouldn't be on the end result, but instead it should be on the process. Because when you think of design confined to some structure, you're most likely to reach a dead end, whereas a process never ends. And so when you think of design as this ongoing process, new questions are always being asked and new domains are always being explored. But then so what, right? I mean, students would normally think process is helpful because it answers all the how, right? And yeah, it answers in product design, how did you come up with the design of this product, or how did you come up with the idea to something? But even though the focus shouldn't be on the end result, it's also important to consider the what that comes out of this how. So what I found really fascinating about the work at EDHV was that the ideas that come out of this ongoing process in design are not only innovative ideas, but really sustainable ones as well. And you want sustainable ideas. You want ideas that stand the test of time, that are understood and appreciated by people of all walks of life, all ages and different backgrounds. And this kind of thinking of the design process also brings about a really good kind of change, because while a core idea remains, new interpretations of it are welcome. One of my most favorite moments during an interview was with Petra Blaze when she started talking about their projects at Inside Outside. She brought out this umbrella. It was silvery, shiny, it had holes on top, and it was a project about personal pavilions. She walked through the use of the umbrella, how it made sounds when you carried it around, how it created organized views via the holes on top, how it changed the person because it created patterns on them via the holes, and how it reflected the environment. And she went through the use of this umbrella as if going through some narrative, and that's what made it really engaging. And that's what I find fascinating about Dutch designers and their ability to tell stories through their work, whether they mean to or not. And storytelling is not just about some event or some metaphor the object represents, because, for example, there are also stories in material. Bert-Jan Pot wanted to communicate through his work the different uses of a material and the possibilities that exist within that material. So this storyteller characteristic of Dutch designers means their ability to shape experiences and to design for lifestyles. And it makes me think about the city and how it's structured and the underlying stories that connect me to the spaces I am in. And when I think about the cities, they're structured around a strong, strict history, and the Dutch are definitely not afraid of coming to terms with it. And so I think this storyteller characteristic is embedded in their culture. And in fact, part of the storytelling is a regard for the past. So while the stories that are being told are somehow new or somehow different, whether it's in their clothing, whether it's in their architecture, or whether it's in their design products, they always somehow remain rooted in Dutch history. And that is why companies like Royal Tickler Mackem have an important place in Dutch culture and why it's been around for so long. And that's why I think craftsmanship is highly regarded in the Netherlands. Over the course of our stay in the Netherlands, I began to familiarize myself with the pace of life surrounding me. And I noticed that there's this sense of slowness and this sense of patience. The first time this really struck me was when I was at the groceries. I was in a really long line, and I myself was getting impatient, but no one in the line seemed to be really getting angry or anything. And when it was my turn to pay, I didn't realize that I had to weigh my own vegetables. So I started looking behind me, worried that, oh, are they getting mad that I didn't weigh my own vegetables? Because the lady at the cash register had to do it for me. But yeah, no sign of irritation whatsoever. And the same thing happened to me when I was shopping in Amsterdam. I was waiting in line for a changing room. And once again, the same thing happened. No one got irritated. Everyone was just taking their time. And it is this slowness and this patience and taking your time. And I think it's something characteristic of the Dutch. And I believe that this characteristic is also evident in designers' works. And I am going to be cautious and say that this may not be true for all of design, but it's certainly present in a lot of them. A great example of this would be Dick Van Hoff's work, because he actually creates luxury items that his users have to work for. And in this way, his work encourages the social aspect, it fosters awareness and contemplation. And what I really enjoy about the slow design is its way of designing life itself. So take an ordinary day in your life, replace all your appliances or electronic equipment with products like Dick Van Hoff's work, and you'll experience it in a wholly different way.